few things that are very important. Again, anything that I say here, there will be a link over on marfooglenews.com unless otherwise stated. One of those things I will talk about here in a minute is some information that we got from family members. That will not be on the website, as that is hearsay, and I will talk about that here in a moment. But first of all, let me go over some of the biggest things. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about Bucha. There was an event, and it is, of course, all over television, all over media, and we will kind of update what has happened from then. We have our president basically saying and stating that Vlad is a war criminal. So that has some oomph behind it, and now public outcry for this to be called that. Understand that if there is a trial, these things can definitely escalate things. So very confusing times. First of all, though, I do want to go over something that is, I guess, some people are happy about, some people are not so happy about. Elon, of course, we talked about this a few nights ago, actually did a poll on his Twitter and said, hey, do you think that Twitter is fair to everybody? And do you think it's essentially, do you think that they are, freedom of speech advocates, or, and basically the poll was pretty clear. 70% of however many hundreds of thousands of people said no. He said, it will be important, so please answer, and it will be important later. You'll find out why. Now we know why. It turns out that Elon has bought 9.2% stake in Twitter, making him the largest shareholder. Now, to put that into perspective, not a lot of these articles actually had any information on how large that was. To put it in perspective, Dorsey is now a 2.2% stakeholder. Now, I'm sure Dorsey back in the day when he, co-founded or started this out had a lot more, but as they went public and as things went down, his grip of the company and his holdings went down. Of course, you can't be filthy rich without selling some of that stock. But Elon buying and being now the largest stakeholder may have some positive things happen. Of course, a lot of people love Twitter. A lot of people hate Twitter. Will this make a difference? I don't know. It says news of the purchase sent shares of Twitter soaring 22% in early trading. Musk did not disclose what he paid for the shares, but his stake is worth $2.9 billion as of the close of the trading on last Friday, at $3.5 billion after the spike early Monday. So over that time of period, apparently he's already made about $1 billion on the deal. Now, again, when we look at this kind of stuff, they don't actually make that much money because that could easily go down. He hasn't cashed out, so it's not it's not paper money. It's his net worth, right? It says, given that Twitter serves as the de facto public town square, failing to adhere to free speech principles fundamentally undermines democracy. That was what Musk tweeted last month. It says, what should be done? And that was, again, another one of these tweets. He just kept saying it. And actually, I think a lot of people kind of guessed that he was going to do something. Most of us thought that he was going to start his own kind of Twitter or something like some of these other competitors. It says, anytime an investor buys 5% or more of a company's shares, they must disclose the purchase in filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Although a stake less than 10% in the company is considered a passive in the eyes of Wall Street. It could signal an effort to Musk to make a more active role in how Twitter is run. That is how one of the factors prompting other investors to buy shares and drive up the price early Monday. So this very well could be for money. Why this matters, there are entire countries, and I always interchange those two because I think countries are basically companies. Everybody who is running these countries is essentially companies. But there are countries like Saudi Arabia where it's like 7 or 8 out of 10 are on Twitter. And that is the main place where they get out a lot of their information and their bad information and their ganda. In a place like that, to have that many on Twitter, to put that in comparison, it's like 3 out of every 10 Americans are on Twitter, which is crazy. You think, oh, it's, everybody's on it, but many people are not, especially here. But other countries, it is a very powerful tool. It is also very powerful for business, and it is very powerful for ganda. So we don't know what this is going to change. It says even if Musk doesn't try to change the way that Twitter operates, his large purchase could prompt some other activist investors to take a stake in the company. It says one way or another, he's going to change the course of Twitter, I've said. And it says I've said that it's probably not realistic for Musk or anyone else to try to build a new competing platform from scratch. So basically, this was a better thing to do than, or by opinion, a lot of people say that this was a better thing to do than start some sort of competitor because he doesn't agree how it's run. That's a huge amount of money too, by the way. To him, not so much. And then we have out of NK, Kim's sister, right? Kim's sister, who I've talked about this for years and now about 2 years, since Kim Jong Un of NK essentially had a surgery, he has been kind of out of the spotlight, and he has not been the one that's been saying a lot of the quotes here. This kind of furthers my theory that something happened there, and I'll give you my theory on who I think is pulling the strings in NK in a second here. It says, NK opposes war, but if South Korea chooses military confrontation or makes a preemptive strike, then the North's nuclear forces will have to attack, the powerful sister leader Kim Jong Un said on Tuesday. That was Kim Yo-jong, and it says a senior official in the government and ruling party said it was, quote, a very big mistake for South Korea's Minister of Defense to make recent remarks discussing attacks on the North. State news agency KCNA reported. It says South Korean Defense Minister Soo Wook said on Friday that his country's military has a variety of missiles with significantly improved firing range, accuracy, and power, with the ability to accurately and quickly hit any target in NK. So this is, of course, after the the just absolute crazy load of launches they have done, and that has directly lined up with this whole January, February, March, debacle that's been going on in the world. I personally believe that Xi is involved in this. I think that Xi had something to do with whatever happened there when he had his surgery, and they said that he may have been a vegetable. He may have been brain dead. In fact, for a few days, he was reported as like he perished, that he passed. And then all of a sudden, we had you had a Kim that looked a little bit different. People were scrutinizing the way he looks, his birthmarks, his marks, his weight, everything about him, and his speeches. So again, one of the things I have said many times is, of course, the NBA player, one of Kim's best friends, ended up saying basically, if you see his sister talking in public, then there's something to worry about. That is, of course, Rodman, right? Dennis Rodman he's really close friends with Kim. He's been invited out there. He's gone out there and hung out and partied with Kim all these times. And he said basically before this surgery, he said, if you see his sister speaking in public, then something big has happened. And then within a few weeks of that, there was this surgery, there was all of this stuff. And then, of course, his sister has taken that front role. So I almost think that Xi went in there. Maybe he was under the surgery table and Xi had some sort of spy being that doctor. And they said, we can get you right here. We can get you in your sleep. You're going to do what we say. And basically, you're going to be you're going to be our servant, and if you step out of line, we're going to come and get you. Maybe that was it. I have a theory that is the case, and they said that, hey, we want to deal with your sister. She's more reliable and she's more trustworthy or whatever. Because it's very odd in their culture to even have a woman running things, just how their culture works, how their crazy, weird things in their religion and their cult, like I mean, for instance, they don't believe that their leader uses the bathroom. I mean, really, really crazy, weird stuff. The fact that they have their grocery stores, the front row has stuff in it, but everything behind it is cardboard. I mean, the whole place is a big stage for a big show. So, I mean, it would be crazy not to think that somebody would use them as a proxy, and if they could get them under their arms, they could use NK as a proxy to launch, to threaten, to do all sorts of things. By the way, from Chinese media that is going out, they're acting like they and the EU are going to come in as this big hero for this conflict that is going on right now. I believe that this is a power move. That is, again, my opinion. Let me know yours. And then we, of course, have the president calling Vlad on trial for war crimes over the actions that happened over the last few days. It says President JB on Monday said that evidence needs to be gathered to put the leader, Vlad, on trial for war crimes related to his nation's invasion of UKR. It says, quote, he is a war criminal. Mr. JB said of Putin on the heels of report of mass people perishing and civilians by of course, the Russian-controlled troops in the town of Bucha. It says this guy is brutal, and what's happening in that place is outrageous, and everyone's seen it. Again, everyone's seen it because it's all over TV and it's all over media. So I won't go too deeply into that. We'll talk about that more on our show tonight over on our sister channel, Marfoogle TV. But this is definitely in the history books. When you look back at this time, they are trying to escalate. It is very clear they are trying to get a massive conflict started. And for those of you that don't believe, and for whatever reason you may not believe that this is going to happen, I would say, understandably, those same people that don't believe this is going to happen, they also still believe in that the people that run the planet want less of us around. How do you think you do that? How do you think you change power struggles? In just a few years, we're not going to be using gas, according to every country. And right now, our entire planet is run on the petrodollar. Our entire system, every single thing that is going on right now is, basically run on the petrodollar. If you are going to take gas out and petrol, then how are you not going to take down the petrodollar? You have to have a huge shift in power, a huge shift in what currency you're going to be using, or a huge shift of the way of life. And to usher that in, you have to collapse the old system first. And that looks like what it is happening. And it's hard to believe because nobody wants anything in our regular lives. We are creatures of habit. We do not want anything new happening. We don't want everything to change. We don't want to go to the gas station and pay with a digital currency or, some yuan instead of dollars. But that may be the future. So unfortunately, that is it. And then as far as gas prices and everything that's happening now, a lot of people are starting to see the reality of it. There's a video on TikTok, of course, many of them now, of truck drivers filling up their 200-gallon tanks at over $1,000 and basically telling people, hey, when my tank is this much, this refrigerated unit basically means that in a month from now, milk is going to go up to $11 a gallon. There's so many different things that are transported through these trucks, these refrigerated trucks. When the gas prices are that high, we are going to see a direct result in almost everything. So if you are already struggling right now, it is only going to get worse. So that's why we have said for years now, a lot of the people in our audience have been preparing for things to go downhill, and not because we're afraid of the end of the world. It's because we are preparing for the downfall of the modern day Rome. And it's unfortunate. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm preparing for the worst. So again, love you guys. Again, make sure to go over to the website. We have all of the links, and then we have so much more. We're going to be talking about gates. We're going to be talking about hackers and a huge hack that just went down, a robot slime that could save lives, Rockefeller's $105 million plan to produce climate-friendly food. All sorts of stuff is going to be on tonight's show. Make sure to get over there. And then if you do want to support us and prepare yourself, go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. You can get long-term food, and right now there's a $150 discount on the 3-month supply. Those are the sealed bags and the sealed buckets that basically have the MREs and everything you would need to survive, and it will stay and it will be good 10 years from now. So again, that's something that people are actually getting just to hedge against whatever food goes to next. Inflation is a thing. It is now a question if we are going to see the kind of hyperinflation that places like Venezuela had. So it's all a guessing game. But right now, the guesses are not, none of them are positive. We'll talk about everything else, including the withdrawal and the possible, of course, hiding of Putin and his friends in bunkers. We don't know what if that was true, but there are some things that kind of confirm that. We'll talk about all of that later on Marfoogle TV, our sister channel. We'll see you guys in just a few minutes. We're already pretty much set up, so if you want to head over there in about 15 minutes, you can do so. Have a great night, guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.